So, hello and welcome to the show. This is DC Do Your Job, and I'm your host, Rich Kachianis. And today we have a fantastic guest, Anthony Bookman. Anthony's running for Boardman School Board.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, Anthony.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to be here as well. So, maybe let's start off. Please tell us a bit about yourself, who you are.
Well, my name is Anthony Bookman. I'm originally from Youngstown, the South Side. When I was 10, we moved to Boardman. Got three younger brothers. Mom's still alive. Dad has since passed. Got my wife of almost 10 years and four kids between us. And she works and I work and we make it work.
All right.
But I'm in the refrigeration business, commercial refrigeration. Um, and I've been a part of the Republican Party for about the last 5 years. And the past couple of years, I figured it's my time to start putting myself out there and serving. So I decided to run for school board in Boardman Township.
So, we don't, we're a nonpartisan group.
Hmm.
So, we don't necessarily highlight left, right, red,
Hmm.
blue, Republican, Democrat. But we are curious as to what caused the transition. You said you started looking at Republican with the last 5 years. What?
No, I mean, getting involved with the party itself,
Okay.
Don Manning, who was the representative for the 59th, who passed away last year.
Hmm.
And him and Tom McCabe are really the reasons I've decided to run. I saw how hard they worked and how they wanted to serve. And so I kind of sat back and enjoyed the time and watched them and seen what they, watched what they did, and I'm like, well, let's give it a shot. And school board is nonpartisan. So
Right.
same thing with trustees. So it doesn't matter what the D or an R, in today's climate, I'm gonna run into, the Democrats or Republicans. And if I talk to a Democrat and he asks if I'm a Republican, I'm going to tell him. If he doesn't want to talk to me, that's up to him. That's fine. I'm not going to be disrespectful or anything like that. I mean, then he doesn't want to talk and he's not going to vote for me. I don't, I don't assume I'm going to get 100% of the votes. So,
Sure.
but I do want to talk to as many people as possible, and I have some ideas. We lived in Boardman, in Cornersburg for the past 10 years. I met my now wife, knew her 2 months and got married.
Wow.
And
Knew right
it's been
away.
a roller coaster ride
Sure.
ever since. But no, it's good. We got four wonderful kids, and yeah, it's good. So
That's great. Maybe please tell us a little bit about your platform.
my platform, my mom was a nurse. She still actually is. She's retired, but she still keeps her license. And when we were kids, we always heard the word stat, like go clean your room, stat, go do this, stat, go clean this. So I'm like, well, maybe I can use it to my advantage now instead of getting yelled at all the time. So I went with STAT, and it stands for safety, transparency, accountability, and trades. And because I'm in the trades, I'm kind of going to, work. I won't go from S to T. I'll just break it up. But I'm in the trades, and I just think a lot more young kids would be better off getting in the trades or the military. College is not for everybody. So, um, yeah, I mean, if you put an equal emphasis on all three of them, even with the curriculum, you can't. I get it. The state's involved, the federal government's involved, all that stuff. But there's got to be some type of a happy medium to get to the point where the strengths and weaknesses of a child and going into ninth grade is recognized, and then in the 10th grade, and things change in 3 or 4 years. I get that. And if they
Sure.
decide, no, I don't want to go to college, I want to do, by the time they're a sophomore, junior, I want to be a welder.
Hmm.
Well, let's make sure those are the classes they're taking,
Sure.
you know, beyond the basics. The basics, by the time you're a junior, you're already past that.
Right.
You're taking other college prep courses. Well, there should be trades prep courses and military prep courses. So that's kind of where I'm at with the trade, with the, getting your hands dirty, blue collar.
Sure.
Um, they've put so much of an emphasis on college. Kids are in debt up to their eyeballs.
Right.
I have family members that are there. They, we're in our 40s now and still paying back college debt, and there was no graduate. They changed courses and then went into something else, but you're still paying back all that money.
Right.
So there's just no reason to put them in that position. we're kind of really setting them up for failure. Yeah, go to college.
Mhm.
I don't even know what to do. How many kids don't even have a major until their sophomore or junior year?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense to me. And along with the trades, if they become uh, strong enough in with their demeanor and their what's the word I'm looking for? Just in their knowledge of what they want to do, by the time they're a senior, that should maybe account for their first year of the trades. So when they
Mhm.
graduate, they're already a second year apprentice, or could be a third. They test out that you can be a third year instead of
Right.
sitting for 5 years, going then all of a sudden you're 25, 26, 27, and you're still behind the eight ball a little bit, but you're not in debt though either.
Right.
But let's set them up when they're 18 or 19, 17, 18, 19, and by the time they're 22, 23, they're making full rate in
Right.
whatever, whether it's electrician or construction or refrigeration, heating and air conditioning. They're though the blue collar, from my perspective, and it's not a shot at anybody else, but this is what I see. The blue collar people are the ones that get their hands dirty, are what makes the world go round.
Right.
Okay, where I work, I'm actually laid off right now. We slowed down, but and that's fine. But even my boss, he works every bit as hard as we do, and he's he's an engineer, so he's more white collar, but he doesn't mind getting his hands dirty.
Sure.
So he works every bit as hard as we do. Therefore, we work that much harder.
Right.
So setting them up for success instead of kind of like playing games with their future.
Sure.
Yeah, go to college, you'll be able to do that. Nah, let's go to the military. Let's go to the trades.
Right.
My stepson Jackson just signed up for the U.S. Navy. He's actually testing tomorrow to be a Navy diver, and if he passes, which I believe with all my heart he will, he's already taken the practice test. They told him if you do this, you're good.
Right.
We're gonna get, and then so his December deployment to boot camp will be canceled, and they'll move it up to
Okay.
probably September, October.
Right.
So the big possibility of him being home for Christmas, which would be awesome.
Right.
So that's where he's at, and I just think that we as parents, as guidance counselors, teachers, you have to recognize their strengths,
Right.
and weaknesses as well. But if they're strong somewhere, let's push them that way, and see if they take, and if they do, we know we're helping them succeed and not. And if they don't want to do it, they can choose something else afterwards. I mean, it's not a
Right.
big deal, but they're not starting their lives out, 4 years of college or 2 years or a year in $20,000 in debt and changing their mind.
Right.
So we'll see what happens with that. When I talk to everybody else, like if we do a debate or anything, that's where going to be my big talking point there. The other one is safety, transparency, and accountability. And transparency and accountability kind of work hand in hand.
Mhm.
When you're transparent, you're showing how accountable you are, whether it's finances or whether it's to the safety of the kids.
Right.
Did you hear about the couple instances in Boardman at West Boulevard where the bus aide kind of pulled the young kid up?
Yes.
That was one, and then McCade was the other one. He was a special needs that got the staple.
Yes.
So my biggest problem with all that is they allowed these two to resign instead of firing immediately.
That's not accountability.
No, that's not accountability. And when I say fire immediately, in order to, you're innocent until proven guilty.
Mhm.
I'll always believe that. But if you take it and say, okay, administrative leave for 2 weeks paid, we'll do that.
Right.
Once you do, it doesn't take long to do an investigation on stuff like that.
Right.
The one at West Boulevard, they caught him on film, so he was, that was immediately done, and he was. I don't know when his trial is. I don't know if it's even happened yet. I know he was arraigned or whatever, but I don't know if they put him through. He's a 70-year-old man.
Wow.
What do you know what I mean? And from what I understand, it wasn't showing any remorse anyhow.
Right.
The one with McCade, his mother is the one who actually found the staples in his hair. Took him to the uh, barbershop, and barber was like, "Well, what is this?" And then it all kind of crap rolled downhill at that
Right.
point. But it was weeks after it happened. It wasn't, they tried to take the rug, and
Right.
that's listen. When a kid's involved like that, especially special needs, that's a no brainer.
Right.
You're out of here. You lose your credentials and all that stuff once the investigation's done. The investigation from Boardman was done, and there was no criminal they couldn't prove anything criminally. But listen, there's still that was egregious and that was evil.
Right.
All right. So after the investigation, all right, we got to let you go. They allowed her to resign, and to my knowledge, she still has her credentials,
Right.
and I just can't. And the big thing was is they didn't want to get into a legal battle, and that just really. Why are people afraid of the teachers' unions, of the attorneys? Why are just us normal people afraid of them?
Yeah.
I know the teachers' union is strong overall. I get it. But why, if somebody did something bad, then they need to go. That's all.
Right.
And then you bring somebody in who is worthy,
Right.
who has proven themselves, or somebody new that can be trained, and then you move forward. You don't sit there and play patty cake with this stuff.
Right.
Excuse me. So, but that's kind of where everything goes. Like being fiscally responsible is another one.
Hmm.
No new taxes, as far as I'm concerned. We need to figure this out with they're working on a formula even now. I've sat in on some meetings, their Monday board meetings,
Hmm.
and the formula is old. It's outdated. We need to figure things out.
Right.
And the state needs to send us more,
Hmm.
give us back what we've already given them. Our Boardman generates a lot of revenue, a lot
Right.
of sales tax, through the BMV, the gas tax, it all goes to Columbus. Then we get a little piece of it.
Yeah.
Like, come on, we're the 11th largest township in Ohio. How many schools do we have? Look at the Strip, 224 Market,
Right.
massive retail,
Yep.
massive retail. Even without the mall, it's massive retail.
Right.
The mall I think is a dying thing. I don't see much going on there. You don't hardly see.
Yeah.
And I love what they're doing on the one side. They're
Mhm.
putting things over there for people to come and do, and that's great. But I don't know if it's going to do anything for the mall side, the retail part of the mall. I don't.
Kind of like we were talking about before, these surface level fixes, not the root cause, right?
You're
Why
not going
did
to
all
the
the
root, right?
stores leave?
Right.
Because the
People are
rent
going
was so
online. Yeah,
outrageous.
and the rent, and then people are going online now, and it's my God. Why? Honest to God, I wanted so bad to buy local with my signs for my campaign.
Yeah.
I won't. I'm not going to name the company. They wanted $2,000 for a few hundred signs.
Right.
I go into Sign Rocket. They're down in Texas, I believe. $495 for 300 signs, front and
Wow.
back. I sent them the
That's a big
information.
difference.
So why I can't get? Why aren't you being more competitive? If you would have been 600, I would have done it.
Right.
Even 700, I wanted to be under 1,000
Right.
for the few hundred signs. It's like $1.65 a sign. I'm
And do
like,
they come assembled, or do you then have to
no,
put 'em
no. The only
together as
thing
well?
I'm not getting the frames
Okay.
because Stephanie Rezo, who's Don Manning's fiance,
Mhm.
he had hundreds of iron
Left
left.
over,
Oh yeah, she said, "Come get them." Like, all right, I'll be as soon as I get my signs, I'll be over. I'll grab those and start putting them together. So she said, "Yeah, please don't." And they're not that expensive, but why spend the extra $50 if somebody has them
Sure.
and is willing to say here? There's 5,000 of them sitting in my garage.
Right.
So, and that's the part of my end where I have to be responsible.
Mhm.
I want to be able to give to certain things in the area, what I believe that would help the area. I want to spend certain money on signs, but I need to be responsible for that. Not spending $2,000. It's just not gonna. That's just foolish.
Sure.
I mean, it's a school board race, and I've already had people tell me, going, "You're running this like you're running for Congress. Like, why wouldn't I? What, I'm supposed to be silent and just put my name there and hopefully people vote for me?"
Right.
No, that's not me being responsible to my community, let alone my own heart. So, but overall things are going good with everything. I'm looking forward to a little debate. I'm not going to attack the people. I'm
Mhm.
going to attack the issues. Because listen, nobody's perfect. Everybody has their shortcomings, their shortfalls, whatever. I want to attack the issues, and I want to be able to tweak them and do better things. So that's where I stand on all that. And the elections, the 2nd of November.
Okay.
So that's the general. So that's where I'm at right with that. My phone number is 330-261-0737. Please feel free to call me or text me. And then it's www.anthonyforohio.com. You could actually order signs and t-shirts. I got some t-shirts too. And I got some literature, which is which is right here. Vote Bookman, and then the stat is on the back of it. These are what I'm going to be handing out, these and business cards.
Okay.
Got to keep it simple. I
Right.
mean, it's a school board race. I don't need to raise that much money. It's something local. It's something tight knit. And if I need to get more signs, I'll have. So I was able to raise enough
Right.
to get me going through the election.
Sure.
And that's what I really didn't go to the people of Boardman unless they said, here. I went to people I know who trust me, who believe in what I'm doing, and that's that. I don't. I'm not doing it for the money.
Right.
I mean, you need to raise a little bit, but I'm not doing. It's $100 a meeting. I'm not doing it for the money.
Right.
We're gonna get one check, I guess, at the end of the year. I'm gonna hand it to my wife and be like, "Here, go Christmas shopping, right?
Right.
Buy whatever. That doesn't matter." But I want to serve. I want to do what's best for the kids. I want to give them more of an opportunity to succeed and not be filled with debt.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I remember growing up, the standard tagline was, well, even if you don't know what you want to study
mhm,
and get a degree in,
mhm.
just make it something you have to fall back on.
Yeah, yeah,
But that conversation doesn't transfer over to the
no,
trades and things
no.
like that.
Mhm.
And maybe it should.
So my local's 396 plumbers and pipe fitters. There's a lot of there's a lot of areas to that. So the work I was doing before I got laid off was commercial refrigeration. So I brazed, I did service work on rooftop units, on rack systems, um, on rooftop units when it comes to HVAC too. There's also welding. Now I braze, which is a form of welding, but it's not welding with the stick weld and the MIG and TIG and all that stuff. But they do that there too.
Mhm.
They do plumbing. Like even home, as simple as the home plumbing, all the regulations and all that stuff. So there's quite a bit to fall back on in there, depending on what you want to do. You're going to learn all of that and be like,
Okay.
well, I'm going to try welding. I'm a journeyman now, or I'm a third year, fourth year, fifth, whatever. I'm going to try this for a year. You're still not in debt.
Right.
You're paying your dues, and then you're hopefully working somewhere as you're going to school
Sure.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from like say 5 to 9.
Hmm.
So, all right, I'm going to go for a year. A year goes by. I'm not too happy with that. Let me switch over to plumbing.
Hmm.
You're 19 years old, 20 years old. You're still at that age where everything is, the gears are still spinning. You're still trying to find yourself. Guess what? You're still not in debt. You're paying the dues. You're making some scratch, and you're living.
Right.
Okay. You're not building up Sally Mae and what's the other one? Freddie Mac.
Yep.
Yeah.
Freddie Mac. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not building up all this thousands of dollars of debt to do this. Now you could go to a trade school like Newcastle School of Trades,
Right.
ETI over in Niles. I'm helping my cousin now he just turned 30. He works on the railroad and he just can't. You're on call all the time. It's not meant that's a tough thing. My grandfather was on the railroad. My dad wanted to do it years ago before we were even born. And there was a couple year period where they said, if you wore glasses, you can't be on the railroad. And it just so
Is
happened.
that right?
So he ended up going to the military. So, but you're still not in debt. You're still being, but when you go to trade schools, you're paying could be 15 to 20, 25,000
Right.
for 15 months, 18 months, 24, whatever. So there's that debt there. So I would push union and go through the 5-year apprenticeship, making money while so you can even test out of a first year. If you feel you have the knowledge, you test out, you're a second year then. So you skip a year.
Okay.
Yeah, you can test out. So and once you test out, you could be a journeyman in say 4 years instead of 5, or 3.5 years instead of 5. Still not in debt.
Right.
Still able to make that decision. I'm not enjoying welding. Let's go with plumbing. And then they fall in love with plumbing.
Hmm.
Okay. And they can do that for 30 years and get a nice retirement, got a nice pension through the union, got good benefits. People are always complaining about benefits, right?
Right.
I didn't pay a penny where I'm at. It's all paid through the union or through my company, the company I worked for. They paid the union, and then that was that. So that my package I would say is $55.
Hmm.
My base rate was whatever, and everything else in between. So that's all covered. I got in my van and I went to work.
Right.
Why wouldn't you want to do that and not be in debt?
Right.
Now, if you're very good at college, if you're a book person and you can read 10 pages and understand every word it's, I get it. I
Sure.
respect that. Listen, there's an old saying, the world needs ditch diggers too. You got to have the blue collar. You
Right.
got to have the college. You got to have that stuff. But let's put if these five people were designed for this, these five people, let's put them there and
Sure.
allow them to experience that. And if they do well at it, and we know that's their strong points, then so be it.
Sure.
You
And
know,
students didn't build those universities.
no, their debt did. So yeah, so that's kind of my platform. I want to see these students succeed. When it comes to the special needs, I really believe that there should be cameras in those
Mhm.
rooms because Isaiah, my stepson Isaiah can't speak for himself. He says certain words, but there's no conversation like this.
Right.
So there's no, hey Isaiah, how are you doing? And he might say okay or yes, but that's it. There's none of this. So I think, after what happened, especially what happened to McCade with the teacher's aide, and you got to have cameras in there.
Sure.
See what's going on. I don't know about cameras anywhere else. I got to kind of look at the privacy part of that. But if you're in
Mhm.
school and you want to protect those kids, why not?
Right.
What I don't see the problem with that because you are in school. Once you leave school, you're free to do what you want.
Right.
When you're in school, there's a certain you can't be causing trouble. You're there to learn, and you can make friends. You can make whatever.
Sure.
You want to go fight somebody off the school property,
Right.
and then you can get in trouble out there.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so but yeah, so I would like to see Boardman schools is overall is good, but there's certain things that need to be tweaked.
Sure.
No more taxes, all these levies that want to come out. Um, Go to the state. There has to be a better formula to, in turn, cover that deficit.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, it's just one of the questions I had kind of rolls into this as well. I think it pertains to both topics is, the expense of the security systems.
Mhm.
Who would be responsible for that? A lot of schools have security now
Yeah.
because of all these
Oh,
shootings and things,
yeah.
but some
Some don't.
school
Yeah.
can't afford it.
Right.
So who should that be a requirement
Mhm.
in either case, the security cameras and
Mhm.
security personnel, or
Yeah.
one or the other, either way?
Excuse
And
me.
who would be financially responsible for that, right?
Mhm.
I mean, if you look at the federal mandate of
Mhm.
the Department of Education,
Yeah.
that's in their mandate, providing secure,
Mhm.
safe,
Mhm.
accessible schools.
Yeah.
But they push that on the school systems because they know they can't afford it.
Yeah, there's always that financial part of it. And I think that's where getting people together, more you don't have to be exactly like-minded, but kind of on the same level of the safety aspect.
Sure.
Where can we get this money from? We can't go to the people anymore.
Right.
There's grants. You can get grant. If you write a good enough grant, well, the chances of you getting it, especially in a school setting,
Right.
you're going to get it. It shouldn't, and it shouldn't be so outrageously expensive to keep your kids safe. I know this is America. You can charge what you want to charge and all that stuff, but let's use some common sense. If you picked up 20 schools, you don't have to charge as much.
Hmm.
Everything's going to be recorded. It can be My wife can go on her phone, and I can do the same if I wanted to. We can see her grandfather in the room to make sure he's still breathing.
Right.
We were out, where the heck were we? We were an hour or so away, but she just wanted to see it.
Hmm.
And she was, oh, he's okay. How that can't be,
Yeah, the technology exists. It's just a
it's
matter
there.
of
Right.
what's the best way to implement and
Yeah.
manage. Sure.
There's fundraisers you can do. I'm a big proponent of fundraisers.
Hmm.
If you can do a food fundraiser or some type of a dinner and say it's $50 a person,
Hmm.
all proceeds. Now this is if I've been able to get people to donate food. That's not an issue. All proceeds go to the security system for the school.
Hmm.
Not every school has to be done at the same time. However, I don't think the high school would be the priority. I think the elementary schools
Hmm.
and the middle schools would be the priority on that one. And then as it grows, couple years, then you revisit that.
Right.
But it doesn't. Being forced to pay for something is what people don't like.
Right.
Some don't care. Some are okay. We'll just pay the taxes. My taxes have gone up for about $400 in 4 years. And what's happening?
Right.
Where's the money
Well, similar to, what was it, last year? No, maybe 2 years ago.
go? Mm-hmm.
Um, the Youngstown Library
Mm-hmm.
just got a big federal payout,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they were already sitting on $25 million.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have a hard time kind of following that. It's why. Same thing with with COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, look what Youngstown got. 82 million.
right,
That's free money.
right,
Where's the need?
right,
Where is the immediate need? Whether the schools in Youngstown are no good. They're just they've gone downhill.
right,
And that's bad on so many levels because that's our future.
right.
You know,
Well, and that was kind of what I wanted to get into is, so, we're all paying into that.
Mhm.
And as you had stated, that money, that tax money first has to travel down through Columbus,
Mhm.
and then it's redispersed.
Right.
But it's not redispersed. I
Yeah.
would say, equally in a dollar amount.
Right. Right.
So,
You wouldn't give the same amount of money to a town with 1,000 people as you would what does Boardman have? 44,000, somewhere right around there.
mhm,
You wouldn't do that. So you have to take this one and say, okay, they need this. This town needs about 10% of what these top 10 or top 12 townships would get
right,
because they don't. There's just no. They don't need it. They're small. They have if they even have a school in that town. You
right,
know what I mean? So,
right,
but that all has to be looked at, and the level of corruption when it comes to money,
mhm,
you see it on a daily basis. You see it in our politicians down in Columbus, down in DC.
mhm,
Come on, man. You're not supposed to become some rich person by being a public servant.
right,
I'm not saying you don't make something. I mean, if it's a full-time part of it, or a school board, even trustees are not full-time.
right,
They have their meetings, and they'll meet after out, whatever. So, and that's fine, but you still have to have a full-time job. I get it. The president of the United States is not carrying a full-time job. That is his full-time job.
right.
And there's certain ones that do, and I get that. But we need to really look at and see where this money's going as opposed to going back into the community instead of lining somebody's pocket.
And should it leave in some cases?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, I think with what we generate in Boardman, the
Mhm.
majority should stay here. So this can be taken care of.
Right,
Because I mean, if you look at Boardman, Canfield, Poland, Youngstown, and we'll say South Range, that area,
mhm,
that can be taken as one because those people are the ones coming through here.
sure,
Okay. So you handle that as such. Okay. This area can't keep going to the people. All right. You just can't.
right,
They pay enough taxes, federal, state, income, whatever, property tax. It's astronomical. It's asinine the amount of taxes that are get paid, and you don't see the fruits of the area.
right,
I want to see industry back in Youngstown. A good friend of mine, Vince Hill, his first name is Richard, but he goes by Vince. He's running for mayor this year.
okay,
Got some great ideas. I'm going to talk to him, and maybe if you have him, I'll get you his contact information.
yeah, that'd
You
be
wanna call?
great.
He's got some really great ideas. I'm not going to speak for him. I met him last year through Steve Jones and Joe Pinchero, two friends of mine. I met Joe, his wife. I went to school with her. I graduated from. So Steve's running for county commissioner next year.
Okay,
Vince is running for mayor this year of Youngstown, and then Joe quite possibly might run for school board of Boardman next year,
okay,
which would be awesome to have him and I because we're very like-minded.
sure.
I think you have to have some diversity. I don't dispute that, but to be like-minded, you're going to accomplish things.
Oh, yeah, maybe redefine it as like goals.
Yeah,
What it's going to
I'm
help
not going to
move
agree
this
with you on
forward,
everything,
right?
but there's a couple things. Hey, this involves the kids. Let's handle that. Youngstown. I want to be able to. I want the from the schools to the trustees of townships to the city, why aren't we working together?
Right.
You know, Youngstown is not what it used to be. Boardman's the central hub.
Right.
Downtown is just simply downtown.
Right.
You have some things, you have restaurants, you have people are trying, but we need industry. We need more jobs in this area. We need to give people a reason to when they graduate from YSU or what's the one right over here? The other college, uh, Eastern Gateway.
Oh, okay.
When they graduate, they don't have a reason to stay.
Right.
There's nothing here. My brother went to school to be a CPA. He works on the railroad now because they said, well, you don't have enough experience. You need 2 years. We can't hire you. That's what you go to school for.
Right.
He did internship. There's your experience. So you hire them and you train them. People are lazy. And when it comes to that, you don't have enough. Well, you didn't have any experience 25 years ago either.
Right.
And look where you're at now.
Right.
So we need to give people a reason to stay here in all areas. Youngstown, Boardman's retail.
Right.
I've always wanted more culture there,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not. It's Boardman's retail. That's what that is. Canfield's not even really retail. There's some,
Right.
but Poland, not really, a little bit, but Boardman's it.
Right.
It's like the Mecca.
Yep, it really
that's
is.
it. But there still needs to be, downtown, any downtown needs to have industry,
Yes.
so we'll see when I'm looking forward to having you contact Vince to get down here.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to him.
And even Steve and Joe, and it would be a great conversation. And talk about diversity. Steve's like right down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Vince is a Democrat running as an independent.
Okay.
Okay. I'm a Republican and Joe's a Republican, but we all sat down like this, lit up a cigar, had a drink, and just talked about things. We
Imagine
didn't
that.
agree on everything.
Right.
We're different people. But we talked about things and probably agreed on most. The D or the R should have very little meaning, and it has too much meaning. And I'm guilty of that.
Sure.
I'm a Republican. Listen, I'm an American.
It's like a safety blanket
Yeah.
in a sense.
Yeah. And it doesn't protect you of anything.
No.
If anything, I think it causes more strife.
Yes.
My wife is a Democrat. I'm a Republican. And let me tell you, we don't talk politics because as soon as we do, it blows up like a freaking balloon. Just pop.
Right.
And it's ugly, because then you're fighting and you're not talking for 2 days.
Right.
And that's my wife. I shouldn't want to be, but she believes what she believes, and I believe what I believe. And she even said the other day, we just can't talk. Listen, we're not going to talk about this anymore. I said, okay.
Right. And I think that's where a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Right. Either they're ready to fire off.
Yeah.
Or they just
Yeah.
keep it. They swipe it off the table. They
Yeah.
won't talk about it.
No. But I was talking to somebody else about the school board, and it was actually Steve Jones's cousin. He came in from out of town from Florida or Georgia. I can't remember. Anyhow, I was talking to him, and I said, "Well, if I do good, I might move on." And he kind of gave me the like almost like he was upset that I said that.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "Why don't you stick it out?" I mean, when you do things, you want to grow.
Right.
If I'm doing things, one thing that's lacking is mentorship when you're in the public office. So if I do this for 4 years, my last year, I should be looking for somebody that's
Mhm.
going to take over and believe similar to what I believe. And then when they run and they know that, the introductions are made, they're out, they're about, they're not just doing it. I'm not doing this for myself.
Right.
I'm doing it for the kids and for the community in the future. And that same person should come up behind, whether it's school board or mayor or state rep, Congress, US, whatever. And at the end of the conversation, I said to him, I said, you know what, you're right. If I'm doing good things, I'm going to stick it out. I mean, if it's 2 terms or 3 terms, whatever, as long as it's going well. I'm not going to even run for anything else if I'm not doing a good job.
Sure.
Listen, vote me out, because obviously I have to go back to the drawing board.
Right.
And if I decide to run again, I'm going to change what I need to change. I'm not going to be that same person and say, I'm going to stick with what I know before and it didn't work.
Right.
I'm going to make adjustments. Like I said, the school system is good. It needs some tweaks, needs some adjustments.
Sure.
It needs a little more transparency, a little more accountability, a little more safety, a lot more trades.
Yes.
So if I looked at it like this, little lot, this is good for that time.
Mm-hmm.
K through 12, we'll say.
Right.
This gets you a career
Right.
because your career at the time was K through 12. That's your career going to school. But you need to be set up for success and not knowing what you're doing.
Right.
So that's basically where I stand. I'm going to leave this with you. So
Yes.
I don't think I get. Did I get.
I
I
have
gave,
one, but
yeah, take it. If you end up talking to somebody
yeah.
from Boardman, say, hey, I got an extra one, or hey, give Anthony a call. I'll meet. Listen, I will meet anybody anywhere. I don't care. If
Accessibility is good.
if they get 20 people, if it's one person, hey, could you meet me at Yankee Kitchen? Hey, can you want to meet at Chili's? Hey, do you want to meet, wherever at a coffee shop? Absolutely. Here's my schedule. I have these dates open, this time open. Let's go. Does it work for you? Yeah, this one works for me. There you go. We're gonna go talk.
Definitely breaking the mold there.
Yeah, I mean, and Don Manning was notorious for when he was obviously when he's in session, he's in session. But when he came home, he was going to schools reading to kids.
Wow.
He just did it a couple days prior to his passing, and I'm not the best reader, so I don't know if I'd go that route, but I would go and show them how to work with my hands.
Sure.
Hey, let's build something. You go into kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade. Have a trades day even at that age.
Mhm.
You might run into a kid who you throw him some Lincoln logs. Next thing you know, 2 days later, you go back and he has a freaking mansion built.
Right.
That's what that kid's good at. Let's keep an eye on him.
Right.
That way, by the time he becomes a freshman, 7th, 8th grade into a freshman, and you're like, you still enjoy that? Oh yeah, man. I'm drawing, I'm making, here's where you want to be. So you want to become an engineer or bigger than that, that's fine. But if you like to get your hands dirty part of it, get into the trades.
Yeah,
Get
my
into-
son is obsessed with the weather. So
Oh, really?
I'm
Well, maybe he
constant-
can help them figure things out with the weather.
I'm constantly getting
50% wrong.
updates throughout the day on what's going on with the weather because one of the
That's good.
Microsoft patches came in. They added the date and weather stuff on the
Yeah.
taskbar, so he's clicking it all the time. And if he sees any kind of color, then he comes running in the room. He thinks there's a tornado coming every time. So,
Hey,
but
at
if it's
that
a
age-
passion, it's a
listen,
passion.
At that age, if he's got that kind of passion, I think of more times than not, he's going to, if he sticks with it, he's going to enjoy it and continue to enjoy it. And if he becomes a meteorologist, or if he might become a storm chaser, which I think is
Well, that
crazy.
he's just found some videos of watching people doing that, so that's kind
I
of
lo-
evolving,
I love watching that. I'll stick to watching it.
right?
I don't want to. I've seen cars sit there and the tornado just decides to cross right in front of them. I'm going, I'm good right here.
I don't need that in my life.
No, I don't need that kind of stress. I got high blood pressure as it is, thanks to my father and my grandfather. I don't need to raise it any more than
Right.
it already is. But no, God bless him for that's awesome. That's a pure heart. There's no agenda there.
Right,
That's just an enjoyment.
right.
So, but yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at.
All right. Well, yeah, we're running low on time. Let's
Okay,
kind of get through this, and we'll get through the. We'll start
Time
the second
flies when
phase.
you're having fun, right?
It does.
Go ahead. Whatever you got to do.
Just curious, has Boardman released any information in regards to how they're handling masks, CRT, distance learning, anything like that?
So from what I understand, it's going to be back as usual. I didn't go to the last meeting with work. Now I'm able to. It's unfortunate that I'm laid off, but it's kind of a blessing in disguise. I can collect a little unemployment and take care of this campaign and get to those meetings without, having to rush back from Cleveland. And
Right.
then, so I will. Best answer is I'm going to find out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of schools, I think they haven't really kind of released the information
Yeah.
yet. They're kind of taking that guidance
Yeah.
from high above.
Here's my take on that, just real quick. If you want to send your child to school with a mask, do it. If you don't want to, don't do it. But you don't have to sit there in front of people's faces.
Right.
It's not hard to social distance, but you don't have to be 18 feet apart. Just don't
Right.
be spitting on anybody. I mean, but just be conscious of the environment.
Sure.
That's all. I believe in freedom of choice from A to Z. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask.
Hmm.
Teachers might have to wear them. That's fine, but that's your child first and foremost. The parent, to me, or the guardian is the ultimate authority.
Right.
You're in school, I get it, but that's still, you're not the ultimate authority.
Right.
And that's how things have kind of gone.
Yes.
Like the school's there, and I'm like, I don't like that at all. There was many times I went to pick up my son. Well, you can't take him. Yeah, I can.
Right.
So I'd go to the actual coach or whatever and say, "Hey, my son's coming with me."
Hmm.
Okay. You're gonna tell me I can't take my I mean,
Right.
what are we doing? What are we doing here? So, but I've never actually had an overall problem. It was like certain people would say, "Oh no, you can get my son or my daughter or my stepson, whatever.
Sure.
They're mine." So, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Would you say you were a proponent of school choice?
In what fashion?
So what's been that I've seen been thrown around is just so whatever these public schools are getting paid by the government
Mhm.
for students to
Per
go
student, yeah.
would travel with the student
Mhm.
versus going just directly to the school because you're in the school system.
So you're talking about if elaborate a little bit just so I have a better understanding. So
Sure.
if the
So
kid wants to go somewhere else, the money would go with him.
yes.
And
For instance, we briefly discussed
mhm,
some of the status of the schools in the Youngstown area.
yeah,
So if they're not happy with their child going to that school, they
right.
would have a choice to enroll in another
Like
one,
Austin Town open enrollment. I got you.
and then the money would follow the student to wherever school they're attending
Yeah.
versus it's they're in that school district, that's where those dollars go regardless of where the student's going.
So from my understanding, it's meant for the child anyhow.
Mhm.
So if they decided to go elsewhere, now it's kind of a catch 22. I mean, so you're still taking from here and it's going with the kid. But if the school system's not doing its job,
Right.
then you suffer consequences. That's one thing that is eluding a lot of things is consequences. You have the school system. We'll say Youngstown. We'll just use that as an example.
Mhm.
They're going to kids are going to Austin Town or wherever else. Of course, it's going to go with them. That they want a better education. They're not getting that education in their hometown.
Right.
You have failed them. So that's kind of my take on it. Yeah, I don't have a problem with um, that taking place. Now, I mean, if you're in a good school system, it's like I said, it's like a catch. I mean,
Mhm.
it almost is like an almost like an as needed basis. Like is if he's is he going just because he wants to be with his friends?
Mhm.
So there's a lot of dynamic to that. So, but overall, I think that has to go with the kid. The kid still has to have what he needs to have.
Right.
And I think more times than not, it's because the school system has failed and
Mhm.
they're going elsewhere. I think that's the bigger percentage.
Sure.
So
Well, no, not only that, but it just, you bring into the conversation just private schools.
yeah,
There's a lot of folks that can't afford
correct.
the cost of that. Well,
Hmm.
if that kind of
They're expensive.
subsidizes that cost or even covers it, then
In
they
some ways, it
open
would probably
that
cover it.
choice up
Yeah,
instead of
yeah. I think it should be up to the parent and the
yeah,
kid. I mean, we're Americans here. You're Ohio and whatever. If you feel you're going to get a better education here,
sure.
then so be it.
If the
Then
money's
this
for the
school,
student, then it
yeah,
should be for the
for the
student.
student. And
Sure.
now, if that's the case and you have failed, excuse me, well, it's time to make some changes.
Right.
Whether it's from the school board, the teachers, the administration, whatever, you're accountable to those kids.
Hmm.
You're getting a paycheck. You're getting paid to supposedly do what you love,
Right.
and that's teach. And you're failing them, so they're going elsewhere, private school, public school, whatever.
Right.
So my take on that is just, you know what, you failed. Now you got to make some changes. You want to get kids back there. He might come back next year if
Right.
you make these changes. If the education gets better, forget about the sports. I love
Right.
sports, but you're there for education.
Right.
Even in college, you're there for education. Okay, so that has to be first and foremost.
Right.
Preparing them for the real world, because let's be honest, the majority of kids do not go into sports.
No.
They don't get it to the pros.
Right.
So, but yeah, it should not. I have no problem with it following the kid if he's getting a better education. So,
All right. Well, based on time, we're going to go right into the second segment.
okay,
So, how this is kind of set up is the second segment is a test,
okay,
and there are no wrong answers,
okay,
but you will get scored on it.
that's fine.
Um, and it's just kind of a last opportunity for people to kind of see kind of who you are
Sure.
as more of a person and part of the community and things like that.
Okay,
All
I
right.
got you.